So I go in there and the casting director is like, hey, a long time no see. How you been? I'm like, I got shingles. I'm just like, why did I have to tell him? I don't know.
Would Oprah do that?
Hello and welcome to the Merriment podcast. I'm your host, Harley Jansen. And this week, I have to say I'm really surprised with how this podcast turned out. Johnny's been working himself into a comatose state lately, and I'm not in the best health. So the prognosis for this conversation was kind of grim. But we surprised ourselves. We rallied and we had a lively and stimulating discussion about Mercury retrograding and how we can blame things on it, where ideas come from, and when a baby's feet start to smell. Thanks for jumping in the conversation with us. If you enjoy it, tell your friends about it. Why don't you subscribe to us on iTunes or Google Play or whatever else your podcasting site is that you like to use? Rant over. Now come on in and join the merriment.
And we're live.
Ouch.
What?
Just the thing.
Right off the bat. Oh, geez.
It just slipped out.
For real?
Yeah.
That wasn't planned? You weren't
No.
just like, oh, our first topic of conversation.
No, it really wasn't.
Oh.
No. Should we start again?
For real?
Yeah.
No, let's just keep it flowing. Do you want to talk about it is the thing?
No, let's just, yes, maybe at some point, but,
I just marked it.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so this conversation might be a little bit shorter than usual because we've got a sick baby right now and he's just like hacking away in the bedroom.
Yeah, who knows how many times we're going to be interrupted, but so far so good.
Next time maybe you go in and try.
Sure. Yeah, I can do that. I'm not afraid.
Yeah. So, wow, busy times right now.
Yeah, so busy.
Yeah.
Busy. It's so busy that when I have a few moments to just collect myself, I just crash.
Yeah.
Immediately. Like I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. No room for hobbies or no room for anything. Just like nothing.
I can see just like the gates close on brain time. It's just like your eyes just kind of glaze over and you're just like, I'm not thinking right now.
Today was a really, really hard day for energy. It was just like, bah. And the crazy thing is everybody around the office was feeling the same thing. We were all being like, are you feeling tired? Yeah. And the stupid thing is I got a lot of sleep. We went to bed at 10:30, woke up at 7, uninterrupted sleep.
Yeah. No, you had a bit of an interruption.
Did I?
Yeah, didn't you have to bounce Forest at one point?
If I did, I can't remember.
I don't remember either. All the nights are melding together for me.
Everything's all just becoming one big night, one big
but regardless,
nightmare.
At least you had 8 hours sleep.
Yeah, at least 8 hours sleep.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, 8 hours sleep.
And you've been exhausted all day.
I've been just so bad. My energy has been so bad.
Maybe
so low.
It's because Mercury is retrograde.
Oh my gosh. But it's not yet.
It starts
tomorrow. But it could be the lead up to it. It's funny. We were talking around the office and I jokingly said, maybe Mercury's in retrograde. And everybody's like, what's that? And I looked it up and it's like, oh, it's actually going to be tomorrow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Ooh,
because everybody was saying, you said that because everybody was
and
tired.
I jokingly said, oh, Mercury's going to be in retrograde.
That's so funny.
And I've only seen like memes about it or whatever. I haven't really I'm not an astrologist. I'm undecided. I like astrology. I think it's interesting. I think there's certain parts of it that I've witnessed to be true. As far as me being a believer, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I see a lot of similarities between astrological signs, and there's still a ton of people that I know that I'm like, you really don't actually fit into any category of Scorpio as far as any of the other Scorpios I know. That happens all the time, and I'm just like, I don't claim to say these are hard, fast facts, but I just notice that there's seems to be some connectedness that it goes in line with astrology. Yeah. But with this Mercury in retrograde, no, you told me today it's not Mercury in retrograde. Mercury is retrograde.
Yeah, Mercury is retrograde.
It's like everybody's saying it wrong. Everybody says it wrong because retrograde is a position. So it's like saying Mercury is in upright.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense. Or
Mercury is upright.
Yeah.
Mercury is retrograde.
Yeah.
Right now.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. But it just sounds but saying Mercury is retrograde sounds weird, so people like to put an is for some reason.
An in there.
Or an in, that's what I meant.
But it's funny because like this is the thing that I find so funny about astrology is when they take these things that are like out in the stars, and who knows, maybe these things they affect us in like a very like subatomic molecular level that maybe some of these things are true. But it's so funny how like in astrology they'll start giving you advice based on Mercury rules the mail.
Oh.
So if you're going to mail something, you should do it at least 5 days earlier.
Oh, I thought you meant like the male, like the masculine energy or something.
That would actually be more acceptable to me than saying like it
rules
it
the
rules
mail.
The post.
Oh, geez.
All of your post, and communication. So
man, postmen just must be just going nuts in this next few weeks.
Oh yeah, but see, the thing is Mercury rules the mail, but not just the letters. It also rules the people who are delivering the letters, right?
Oh,
so it's like everybody's on these tiny little invisible fiber optic strings attached to Mercury, and Mercury is retrograde right now. So those people are all getting yanked around in weird directions, and it just slows the mail down. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like it's just like people get all mumble jumbled and communication is bad, and it's not people can't communicate as effectively, but there is a positive to it, which is it's an opportunity to be more self-reflective and maybe like step back and reevaluate things, as opposed to like pushing forward and making things happen and making plans. It's more just like kind of like that. They say meditation is like much better during this time too. Cool. So it's not all negative.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah.
That type of thing sounds cool to me. And to say, already having read some things about Mercury being retrograde right now, it says just make sure when you're communicating with people to double check that you're actually understanding what they're saying properly. Oh, so, we're working on this music video right now. I'm doing some editing, and you're telling me some feedback, and I'm sitting there listening, being like, yep, I'll remember this. And then I remembered what I read, and I'm like, no, I should write this down, and I should make sure that this matches up with what you're saying, so that there's no miscommunication here. So, that type of thing, there's no harm in that.
Yeah.
But then there's, this article saying like, I would strongly suggest that you avoid plastic surgery when Venus retrogrades, because it's just like, seriously?
They get so specific.
They're so specific.
It's like they're like fortune cookies. I mean, they're more specific than fortune cookies.
Oh, totally.
I always thought it'd be so funny if fortune cookies were so specific. Was just like, don't get in the car. What?
Then they would be like horoscopes.
That would be, yeah, exactly.
Well, like this other thing in this article about Mercury being in retrograde, your client may suddenly change direction on a project you have been working on and give you new instructions, which may require you to discard some of the work you did. It's just like, seriously?
That's my everyday, that's all the time in my line of work.
It's just
sounds like just work.
It becomes so disconnected from like the stardust out in the universe, or in our solar system that is supposedly affecting us, and now it's getting into the intricacies of our everyday life. There's just too many variables for me to see the connection between all of those things.
Right.
It gets a little bit absurd.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It gets silly, but I could see how it's fun to do it. Like as an astrologer, or if you're writing horoscopes, it could be like a game, because you're taking all this information and you're trying to make it accessible to people.
I totally understand that. I just feel like it could be a little cheekier, like it just sounds very serious and factual. Like, do not get the plastic surgery. If you're going to travel, it shouldn't be for business, maybe for pleasure. Visit a place that you remember from your childhood.
That's so weird, man. This is the worst time. If this is all real and does this is the worst time for Mercury to be in retrograde for me. I'm directing a biggest music video I've ever done. Like big budget, I'm hiring a lot of people, and I have to communicate a vision, a very subjective kind of creative vision to all of them. And communication and is big decisions. Everything in the next little while. I'm communicating to a stylist. I'm communicating to a director of photography. I'm communicating to the band. I'm communicating to their management. I'm communicating to my producer. And it's like, it's all, it's crazy. And more. Yeah, we also have like a production designer. and I'm trying to, my main job is to communicate to all of them the vision so that they're all in line with what I'm, this idea that I have.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird subjective idea, and it really requires them to take some of their own liberties. So maybe what I have to do is more just like simplify it and just unleash, just be like, go.
Yeah, sure.
And then on top of that, I'm traveling for business.
Right? Oh my gosh, that's so
to
funny.
Vietnam, to like a place that's like so.
But you know what? If at the very least, this Mercury retrograde thing gets you to be more cognizant of all of the things, about being extra careful with how you communicate your ideas and being extra careful with your directions on how to get to where you're going when you're in Vietnam, or
luckily I don't have to worry about that. We have people that are taking us places in a very tight itinerary.
But I mean, there's also other factors, like making sure that you back up a copy of your passport, scan your passport and make sure that I have it, and make sure that I have a copy of your insurance, and just all of those extra things.
Oh man, when we went to Southeast Asia, you took care of most of that stuff. So it's like, I'm having to just be extra diligent and responsible here.
Yeah,
as an adult.
because Mercury retrograde.
Oh my gosh.
It's only because Mercury is retrograde right now, you guys. Not because like these are normal things that you should be taking care of in your life.
Normally I'm just like on it. I've got everything together, and it so happens to Mercury is retrograde.
This is the wonderful thing about Mercury retrograding, is that we can blame everything on it.
Yeah, that's what my boss said today, because I sent out an email being like, OMG, Mercury is retrograde. Oh no, like all capitals, and I just sent out this link to them, and then it was funny, and then I talked to her, and she's like, yeah, this is just an excuse for us, like if we're like causing havoc in meetings and stuff, we can just say, oh yeah, it's just Mercury. Or it's not me.
When we're having like a really bad miscommunication with each other, we're just gonna be like, laugh it off.
Yeah.
Oh, Mercury.
And you know what, I'm kind of a chaotic person, not that I'm just like always creating chaos. I kind of thrive in chaos. That's why I like being on set. I love like all these moving parts and all these people doing things, and people and I love you
love the excitement of it all.
Yeah,
a lot of moving parts.
Yes, one of my favorite thing to do, especially this is why I love directing, is you can like on next week when we're shooting, I can be like talk to Stefan and be like, I have this idea. What do you think about this? And he's like, okay, can you make that happen? Yeah. And then I just like watch him just talk to that person, and they'll build that thing.
What a rush.
That's crazy. It's just like you're kind of constantly knocking over dominoes. I used to always thought that directing was, you had to do everything, because I've always been kind of a jack of all trades in my line of work. But lately I'm realizing how it's way better when you just hire people.
You just get to delegate.
and it's way more fun and silly, and you get to focus more on
the vision.
And the source.
That's so cool. Yeah, because you have always been a person to me that's like, you've got ideas, and they're excellent ideas, and you need to have people around you who help you to execute those ideas, so you can focus on holding the vision and not get distracted by all the logistics and all of the the other frou-frou. Yeah,
and I got a great producer, Stefan. Shout out, Stefan Barrel. Love you if you're listening. Probably not, but maybe.
Sweet baby boy
Stefan. Shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say like you have a lot of great ideas, and it doesn't feel that way. I just feel lucky enough to be put in positions where I have to come up with ideas. Where it's just like, you're being hired to write a treatment for this, and it's due this time, and I'm like, I have no idea what to do, and I just got to trust myself to just be like, you'll make it work, and then it happens. I don't know, it doesn't feel like me being like, I'm Mr. Ideas Boy. I got all these ideas in my head. You just ask me and I'll give you one.
Yeah.
That's not what it's like. It's just like I've gained trust from several people, and they believe that I have ideas. It's like I've tricked them, and then they put the pressure on me to be like, go do those ideas. And then I don't know.
Two thoughts on that, though, because first of all, which came first, the chicken or the egg in that scenario? Yeah. Because I do think you've been having ideas and making your own videos and getting really activated around your own ideas since you were a kid. with
Since I
a
was a
video
baby boy,
camera that
maybe,
your
yeah.
parents had, you know? So you have had so many ideas, and it might feel like you have insufficient ideas for the scope of, you know, company that or project that you're working on at the time, but you have proven yourself in the past to have so many ideas, you know?
Yeah, I mean, is it about the idea or the execution? Because
Well,
I feel
that's
like
the other part of it.
everybody has ideas. I just grabbed a camera and I was like, we got to do things.
That's the
And
other
then
thing.
it
And
wasn't like I was just like, this is what we're gonna do. It's like opened up an invitation for everybody to do things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't just like, here's an idea. It's like, hey, here's a way to execute ideas, and then
you activate other
yeah,
people.
because who doesn't
Which is
have
huge.
ideas?
Well, I think a lot of people don't have ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah. You've never been anyone but you, though. So it feels like, oh, of course everyone has ideas like this.
Yeah, maybe that's a really ignorant thing to say. I don't know.
I don't know.
You have an idea. I have an idea. I feel like I gotta go pee. That's not an
a
idea.
body.
What's a very
function.
boring idea? What's the most boring idea you can think of right now? Oh, I wonder if will want to have coffee in the morning.
Yeah, but that's totally different than like I'm going to go out and reenact Lord of the Rings in the woods in behind my house. You know, that's totally different.
But the funny thing is that all started. The reason why I wanted to do that was purely
Which you did, by the way.
Which I did. Was purely based on the execution, because I wanted to put something to music. Because at the time we were using like the start and stop VHS kind of recorders, and we couldn't pair it with music, or at least I didn't know how to at that age. And then we had this digital cameras, like the first digital cameras ever was like 3 megapixels.
Woo.
And we realized that we could upload it to the computer and put music to it. And then we were really into Lord of the Rings, and we're like, well, we want to put cinematic music to us doing things, and we're like, well, let's just run around as orcs, and then the story formulates from that. And then it was actually really funny because I wanted to do music, and that's where it came from. It's like, how can we put? And the idea was to just like kind of have like the Shire music, do 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 do, like the really, and then cut to like dun 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 dun.
Oh, so good.
And then like the chase scene.
You know
like
what's so funny about this conversation is that Cassie was just playing the Lord of the Rings soundtrack for Forrest today.
Oh wow!
While she was nannying him.
Oh wow!
It got really intense at some points. I was like,
Did
I
he
wonder
like
if
it?
he's scared. I was in the other room working.
Man, it gets crazy. Dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. I was just like, oh my God, I'm scared. And I'm in the other room right now.
Oh man, I love that we're not just showing him baby music. He kind of gets bored from just typical like, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Oh yeah, no, he needs variety. Big
He just
time.
needs I think he likes really good musicianship.
Yes,
I know that
appreciates
for a fact.
He likes variety. I want to go back though to what we were talking about, because I just think what you're saying about how you had the idea to do the Lord of the Rings reenactment in behind your house. It's such a great example of how ideas come, because sometimes we put so much pressure on ideas to just be something grand or like to be complete right out the gate, you know, but sometimes it's just like pulling a thread on a sweater.
Yeah.
There's just like one thread hanging. It doesn't look, you don't know what it is or where it's going to go, but you just start pulling and something starts to, you know, unravel into this amazing thing, you know. So
and then you can make socks or out of that yarn.
Sure.
You can make another sweater, but a different design. You can do so much. It's unraveling possibility.
Totally. You just need to take that first little, you know what, actually when I was reading the book Big Magic, which we talked about in one of our earlier podcasts.
Big Magic by who?
Once again, I don't remember.
Oh, Eat, Pray, Love Lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but when...
I was going to say Eat, Pray, Love Woman, but I was like, that doesn't sound right. Eat, Pray, Love Lady.
You know what? Ladies and women and girls, we don't have words like guys and dudes.
Okay, let me just... That's true.
It's really weird. I've thought about that before. We don't have like a
Gals?
casual word. No, it sounds so
Gals?
stupid. Gals sounds dumb.
Does it?
But we don't have that casual word to refer to other women or ladies. It's just always so like proper.
Yeah.
Ladies is proper. Women is very, I don't know, it just seems like it ages people.
What about chick?
Chick is, I don't know, from Clueless.
Chick? No, but it's still chick.
It feels a little bit disrespectful.
And then you can call a woman man. Isn't that weird?
It is very,
man.
or guys
Or
or
dude.
dudes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That I end up doing that
Wow.
because I want
Yeah.
some kind of casual way to refer to my gals,
That's
which
the
sounds dumb.
patriarchy right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
If we just are we able to just like rewind it back for a second?
Okay, but I would just, you have a good memory for it. There's one thing I want to say on the tangent.
Okay.
This is what I've been trying to do lately, and I've been enjoying it, is anytime you say man, like fireman or policeman, you replace with boy. And I've been trying to do that. It's like police boy. Oh, that's police boy. Or just like calling people boys a lot, especially at work. People love it. It's like, oh, he's a great boy. Like I'm working with.
Obviously, only with reference to actual males.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, exactly. Just like talking about, I'm working with this chef, and he's the executive chef at Ocean Wise. And I'm like, oh, he's a great boy. It's like, just like makes, oh, he's a boy.
I love that.
And it's just like, and it's just like an invitation to be silly. I don't know. Because like a man is like, oh, I'm a man. But a boy is like, oh, I'm a boy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's I'm just around a little boy all the time.
No, I love that. But but you know what's so funny is that the fact that boy sounds absurd to say is so weird. Is so weird next to the fact that if I'm talking about somebody my age, I'm going to call her a girl because woman sounds like it ages her too much and lady sounds too proper. So I'm going to call her a girl. But for you to call a guy a boy is like, oh, that's so silly.
But here we go. Let's bring it back. What if I said, hey, that Eat, Pray, Love girl?
Borderline.
Because she's an author. It's just like, oh, she's a woman. But woman is like, yeah, it doesn't still.
Some people would argue that we don't have to specify the gender. I mean, in that situation, I think that we could probably just call her an author.
By her name, which is?
We don't know her name, so that's where this issue arises.
So let's rewind. Big Magic, who was, book you read.
Yes, and what she talked about is instead of needing an idea to be your big grand thing right off the bat, just follow a curiosity. She said that's kind of how she started with a lot of things. Is she didn't set out to like be a fantastic gardener. She just got curious about posies and if they would grow in her backyard. And from there, she got curious about the next thing and about the next thing, you know? And that's really stuck with me because I'm kind of type A, and I when I put myself into something, I want to like put myself fully into it and, you know, all or nothing. And so I've had, you know about me with gardening. It's like last summer I was like, I'm going to do a garden. It's going to be amazing and whatever. And it's all about like the big picture goal. And now I'm just like, I'm going to see if I can plant some bushes in front of the neighbor's window downstairs so that my cat's not shitting in front of the window anymore. You know, we'll see where that goes. Maybe I'll enjoy that and I'll be like, hey, that wasn't so hard. Now maybe I'm going to try planting, you know, a rose bush.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
But follow a curiosity one at a time rather than making it some big thing.
Now here's my question: is I totally agree, following a curiosity, and that's awesome when it comes to, I would say, just playing or like hobbying,
dicking around.
And as a creative, like a goal is to just, you know, but you want to get paid for your work. That's just like something you want to do. And when you're commissioned or when you're hired to do things, sometimes it's very specific in what you have to accomplish.
Right,
so like
totally.
where you have to kind of create your own space for curiosity, as long as, you know, and sometimes clients can be extremely overbearing or very like micromanaging, and that it gets harder and harder. But the trick that I've found, and maybe creatives can relate to this,
or take something away from it, right?
Maybe it's all about creating space for yourself, just recognizing when you're spinning, or recognizing when you need to just like go for a walk, or I don't know. Like let's use this music video for an example. It was a short notice. It was a friend of mine. He asked me to do this music video, and he had very specific ideas, like visual ideas of what it's going to be. And then immediately I was like, okay, what do I need to do? I need to hire people, because like I still felt a little bit like I don't want to just like put my own vision over top of it. And so I hired a producer, because we need to get on it right now. We need to rent a space because it's like 2 weeks until we shoot. It's like very short timeline. Luckily we had the money to hire the right people. And then it's just like immediately I get them on the phone, and then they want me to talk about ideas. And I'm just like repeating what my friend was telling me about his vision, and I haven't really locked into a vision, and it was scary. It was so freaky, and I felt like I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm a fraud, and I had nothing. All I could do was basically just talk about on set and the vibe and how I want it to feel. And it was really hard because a big trick with directing is, at least for me, is you want to have control, but also have it really open for ideas. And what you do is you kind of have to create this thread of an idea that like goes through everything, like come up, like hold, it's the vision. And that was really stressing me out. And when you're faced with the challenge of, you have to kind of create your own curiosity, and you have to kind of create your own space to be creative. And this situation was particularly hard because you're faced with people who have their own vision, and then you have to open it up to the people that you're hiring with their ideas. And when you don't have any ideas so far, that's a really, really tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
And so like trying to like, which I ended up doing was finding that little hint of an idea that grew into all of the song. And it was the concept that really created space for everybody to come up with ideas.
That's cool.
And in order to get to that point, I had to basically just like stop talking to everybody and remove myself from the whole situation. It's just kind of listen to the song and like, yeah, almost create space and be like, okay, without thinking about the people that I'm hiring or my friend who has all his ideas, what does this make me feel? Yeah. And not in an objective sense of like, okay, these colors and this camera movement, but more like how do I feel about this right now? And then you kind of, and it was neat. I don't know where it came from. It just popped in my head, and it was just like, oh, just like that's
so cool. You know what that is though? To me, that sounds like it is giving yourself credit that you have the ability to come up with a cool idea.
It's more of a feeling. It's more of understanding a feeling and then being able to communicate that. And then it's like everybody's ideas, as long as they are like in line with this very, this core idea or this core vision, it's great. I love it. You know, and before when we were having these brainstorms, it was really hard because they were throwing out ideas and it was like, it wasn't sticking because I didn't have anything to stick it to. And I was like, that could look cool, but unless it actually makes sense to the storyline, and
because you don't know exactly what the storyline is yet, then it makes you defensive about what your storyline is. I relate to that so much. I feel like actually that's probably where a lot of our disagreements come from when we're talking about creative ideas. And one person, say it's you that has the creative idea, and then I come in with some ideas or constructive feedback, and you get your back up about it, or vice versa, because this happens with both of us a lot. And I think it's probably that. Yeah. Because we take in each other's input so much, we affect each other so much, that if we aren't really sound already in our vision for something, then we just rock each other off of our track that we're on. Right. I bet you even when we actually have a bit of a vision, we can just pull each other off of that track. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, we have before, like when the times that we have kind of created that vision, the flow was really effortless, and it was really, this podcast is a good example. We kind of nailed down our idea of what we want it to be, which is basically us having and it sounds so simple, but it really isn't, because like leading up to getting to this point, there were a lot of other ideas. I feel like, and it felt like it was just like throwing ideas against the wall for the sake of ideas. Like, this could be cool. This could be cool. Oh, maybe we make it about this, but we weren't really thinking about the core feeling. Yeah. And I guess that's my point, is to bring it way back to talking about ideas. It's to me, the most important thing is vision. You can have a million ideas, but unless you have like a vision, or like I'm imagining just like a line that you can like pin things to, cool. Or a wall to stick things to.
That's
if you just have a whole bunch of ideas on paper, they're going to be scattered. You want to be able to like put them on a board and see them from the big picture. Yeah. So, yeah, and So like when you're saying like, oh, you have so many ideas, it doesn't feel like I feel like I've been around people who have more ideas than I do. Like my friend Kevy, he can just be like, idea, like crazy. And it's not, I don't work like that. I'm more of, and I think this is why I'm headed towards more directing, is like I'm more of like a facilitator.
You're good at harnessing.
Creating the space.
That's really cool.
Creating space. That's what I like it. I like creating
That's
spaces.
super cool. Yeah, you're good at that.
Well, we'll see. Mercury is retrograde right now, so yeah. I might just totally mess it up.
You're gonna bungle it all, Johnny.
I'm just gonna but that might be the whole point of the video.
Maybe.
No, I know what the point is.
What's the point?
Well, it's about slipping into a dream.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. I'm
but
really
it's funny.
excited about this.
It's funny because it's not a narrative. That was the hardest part, because it could be easy to be like, guy or girl subject goes here, they discover this thing, there's a catalyst, and then they change at the end. You know, like you write a story arc. Whereas this is like, it was like, we want just a cool visual music video with just lights and cool shots, and we need to look dope.
Classic. So yeah. Classic. Immediately I'm just like, oh, Jamiroquai.
Yeah, but yes, we could just be like, hire people who are really good at lighting things, just like think about colors, think about props and stuff. But really, unless you have some sort of narrative, like visual narrative, like even internally from the creative side, it's going to be a lot harder to really explore cool ideas.
You know what? There's a quote from the wonderful Maya Angelou who says, people aren't going to remember what you do. They'll remember how you make them feel.
Ooh, yeah, baby. I like that.
That's exactly what it is, right? You're working on the feeling. And that's with me editing this music video, which is has been really fun. We filmed the music video with Forrest on the weekend, where he's a spaceman. And we've got him in front of a space boy. We've got him in front of a green screen in a spacesuit, and we're just filming all kinds of stuff. And it's for our friend JP's music video. And so I'm editing it, putting it all together, and ultimately I am working on how it's making people feel. Yeah. Because you're watching this baby, and he has all these different emotions playing across his face, and we are taking people on an emotional journey. So I'm having to edit based on how his expressions and what he is experiencing is going to make the person watching feel.
That's cool. Actually, because I've been just thinking more like of the storyline of, is like, okay, this part of the song he goes here, this part of the song he lands on this planet, and then he rides this monster. You know what I mean? I've been thinking very kind of logically about it. I haven't really considered that element, so that's cool. I'm really happy that you've been looking through the footage and taking that approach.
Yeah, then that's what comes naturally to me. But what's good is, you came in tonight and had a look at it, and you're able to look logistically with visuals as well and be like, it needs to be more dynamic. We need more close-ups. We need more of him looking here and there. And so those are things that, I haven't thought of. So that's awesome. But for more me, dynamic, naturally, I think about the feeling. How is this making me feel?
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, more dynamic and more compartmentalized. Those are the two notes, vague notes. So like more dynamic as far as like close-ups and wides and more like variety. And then so like there's kind of like it's funny, we would grab the back of his spacesuit, and we were dressed in like these green morph suits too, so we could. So yeah, we won't be visible. No, we won't be visible, but we were interacting with him. So like at one point, Carly would like hold a like an
edamame bean out for him.
Yeah, so like kind of
he came and ate it.
Yeah, and so right now it's cut together, and like they're all like he eats the edamame bean in two like different parts, where I'd be like, make one section where he's just eating a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? Fun.
Okay.
And like the jet packing is just one section.
Okay.
And that also makes it more dynamic, because then it's like, ooh, we're in here now.
It's eventful.
Yeah, okay, exactly. Cool. And when he's riding, he's just like only riding this bull.
Yeah. So, I love that.
But it's a bull alien.
Whatever it is, it's a weird creature.
It's gonna be a cool video.
Noses.
It's fun because we got Cassie, our sister.
Our sister and Forrest's nanny.
And Forrest's nanny. She always made these awesome cards. Like if it's your birthday and you're friends with Cassie, you're in luck because she's gonna make
the best card.
Yeah, and
she just cuts out a bunch of stuff from magazines and makes collages.
Yeah, and a lot of times it doesn't make sense. It's just like all what she's feeling at the time, and I just love them. And then it was like, do you want to create the background of Forest? And she's like, yeah. And it's just so cool. The stuff she came up with is
I'm
really
so
unique.
excited to see how this comes together. It's going to be great.
Too. Yeah. Ooh, one of
the so many things, right? Okay, so if
and then
you were
taxes. Ooh, I don't even want to. I'm going to mark that. We might have to delete the taxes out of here.
No, why?
Because that's so boring. I hate taxes.
It was like a millisecond that you said taxes.
I want to cut it out. That's how my brain works.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, but okay, if we're to sit with all of the things right now and the past week, how would you characterize your past week in the form of an animal doing something?
Oh, an animal doing something? Probably this is what came to my mind. I don't know how accurate this is, but like an alligator just taking down an animal that's just like a little bit too big for him. And he's just like, oh, I'm gonna have to do some rolls here, and you're just in the mud, and then like you're getting so muddy and dirty. But but in the middle of that, I don't know if the animal is gonna get away, and the crocodile's gonna be like, dang, I tried, my mouth is too big for my stomach.
My gosh, that's hilarious.
That just came into my head. I was just
my
like,
eyes are too big for my stomach.
My eyes are too big for my stomach.
That's
it's just
funny.
like when you see like a water buffalo.
Yeah.
You've seen those videos where the alligator.
Mm-hmm. And then it's just like, ooh, okay, this actually maybe was a bad idea. Yeah. It's funny because the vision that came to mind for my past week was a frog that goes to catch like a fly, but it's actually attached to something, and now the frog's tongue is getting yanked, and it's like, whoa, kind of similar.
That's funny. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
I don't really know why.
Yours is more comical. Mine's
more comical because I have shingles.
Oh.
Are you embarrassed?
No,
I'm
not
embarrassed
embarrassed
that I have shingles.
I'm not embarrassed.
You actually looked away from me, looked down, and like shook your head a little bit. Like, are you?
No, you.
I don't have grayscale. Okay,
no,
this is not.
It's funny though. The word shingles. I'm just imagining like, I've heard it before. Actually, I was in the medical or the travel clinic getting my shots today, and I was like, the sign that was like, taking your probiotics won't prevent shingles or something. It was like,
oh, I saw.
It's about the stress. It's like more about stress than it is about medicine.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny because too, when I went to the medical clinic to get it checked out, there was a flyer there that was like, is it shingles? And I was like, I don't know. We'll find out.
But yeah, it just sounds like grayscale. Like you said, like in Game of Thrones, it's like, oh, you're going to,
Why is there,
it's
like,
not
it's
gross.
So weird.
It's just like, it looks like you just have chicken pox in one part of your body.
Yeah. Well, and for some people it gets really bad. I'm lucky. It's just a mild case for me on my lower back. But for some people it looks like shingles on the roof of a house. Like it's scales, and it's super, super painful. But
oh man,
it also, from what I understand, it's kind of related to the herpes virus as well. It's the chickenpox virus that once you've had chickenpox, then later in your life it can come back again when you're stressed out and
there's
whatever.
So many things that I didn't know were herpes.
Well, like cold sores,
cold
right?
Sores,
when people have cold sores.
Are herpes?
But that's why
herpes
there's like a little
everywhere.
bit of shamefulness associated with like if you have a cold sore or, and people are just like, ooh,
yeah.
Suddenly you're kind of dirty. So I think that goes along with shingles too, because it's a similar thing. Like it blisters, and then if the blister, breaks and gets into somebody's orifice, then they're going to get chicken pox if they've never had it,
never had it.
Yeah, but you know what? This past week I had a voice audition, and I went into the voice audition and, just like ready to go. Here we go. I'm gonna like channel a young Oprah, and because that was the director's notes. I was like, all right. I mean, I'll give this a shot.
What are you saying? Everybody got a free car. But you just like go in there and you're like giving them things. That's what I think about.
So I go in there and the casting director is like, hey, long time no see. How you been? I'm like, I got shingles. I'm just like, why did I have to tell him? I don't know.
Would Oprah do that?
I got nervous. I just was like, let's just clear the air here. I'm just going to self-deprecate a little bit. And,
I got shingles.
I'm a real person around here. I got shingles.
Oh, man. I would have loved to be there. What was the reaction?
Well, it was fine. You know what it did? It made me a real life human being. And he was like, you know what? Actually, just recently my son got chickenpox. I'm like, you know what? Now I'm afraid my kid's going to get chickenpox.
Oh,
and we had a
wow.
real life conversation as opposed to just like, oh, cast me in this commercial.
Oh, I have shingles. Feel sorry for me.
No, that's not. That's the opposite of what I was saying.
Right, you're right.
I got shingles.
I got shingles. I just imagine him being, it's like
I make it sound like it was so out of the blue, but I feel like it floated in the conversation a little bit more acceptably.
You're not socially awkward.
No.
Although I've had moments where I've said too much, and
Everybody
then it's
does.
I don't even want to think about. I probably wouldn't be able to think about an instance because I just put it out of my memory because it was like, why did I say that?
I feel like I've gotten to the point many times in my life where I stop censoring myself because I've been way too anxious about social situations and saying something stupid that I'm just like, you know what? Forget it. Enjoy yourself. Be yourself. Just let it all hang out. And inevitably, I probably have actually did way too much TMI or just spouted my mouth off and somebody's just like, oh, I didn't ask. Wow.
But you know what? What's the worst thing that'll happen? One person that probably won't be your friend. Because if it's, I feel like, yeah, and they would just be like, oh, that's weird. But the best case scenario is they're like, this person is being vulnerable in front of me. Awesome.
And relatable.
I'm gonna connect with this, and then a new friend. I feel like if you're safe, if you're cautious all the time, you're really putting in the barrier of friendship.
Yeah, I would rather spout my mouth off and come across as a loudmouth idiot to some people and be super relatable and make friends with other people, rather than keep my mouth shut or try and censor everything that I'm saying so that everything I say is perfect and and then people can't relate to me and it's harder to make friends.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. That's the truth. And that's words to live by, everybody. Folks listening on the internet radio.
Spring is here.
Spring has sprung.
We just had our first barbecue today.
Wow. You know what's amazing about that is at the first day of spring, which was that yesterday, it felt different. I didn't realize it was officially the equinox, but I remember being like, oh yeah, riding my bike, being like this, I feel great. I felt just, there's something about it. It was just, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a combination. And it was the first day I actually saw the cherry blossoms too.
Oh, I saw cherry blossoms yesterday.
Oh my gosh, it's a sign that spring has sprung.
It's sprung.
I'm so happy. I'm so... I to the point where I think about next winter and it makes me sad already.
Don't think about next winter. What,
I know. I don't know why. I'm just like, oh man, what it must feel like to live in California or LA or something where it's
all the time. But they also don't get this feeling that's amazing when spring comes and it just feels like renewal. Everything is becoming alive again.
That's true.
And you're opening your barbecue and there's mold all over the grate.
Was that? Did you cook our? Did you cook our hot dog?
I burnt it all off.
Smoke?
I burnt
it.
I cleaned it. Don't worry.
Oh, wow. I'm proud of you.
No,
thank you.
These things happen though. When spring comes around and you're just you go into the garage and you're like, let's get out our bike. Oh, mold. There's mold on everything.
There is mold on everything.
We live on the Pacific West Coast. Mold happens. I remember I parked my car at my dad's place over one winter, and when I went to go there, I think there was a box of shoes that I had been meaning to get rid of. And when I went in there, all the shoes were moldy, really moldy. I was just like, what? I left these in a car over the winter and they're moldy?
Yeah.
This isn't food.
Yeah, weird.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Here's a question. Is athlete's foot, is that considered a type of mold?
A fungus.
A fungus?
Yeah.
You know what I heard today?
Okay.
Learned, is the reason why it's important to wash your feet with antibacterial soap.
Okay.
Is because you need to have a healthy flora on your feet, and that's what protects you from bacteria.
Wait, so don't use antibacterial soap.
Do not. It's important to have healthy bacteria on your body and on your feet.
Forrest's feet are starting to smell.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever wonder to yourself, at what point does a baby's feet start to smell? Does a person's feet start to smell? It's around the 1 year mark.
I love it. Like
not really bad,
No,
but just a
no.
little bit of a funk, just a teensy bit.
I love it. I think it's great. It's gradual. You know, you get used to your kid's smell, and like poop and pee isn't weird anymore.
Just remembered what happened tonight.
Oh, I was gonna get to that. What's like?
Oh my!
Man,
you're in the bath with him taking care of what just happened, and I'm out here just like killing myself.
Were you laughing? But he was so sad.
He was so sad, but I couldn't help because the scenario was just so hilarious.
Well, let's paint the picture here.
Okay.
So we were running the bath, and I was like, you know what, buddy? I'm gonna get you naked. And this is really funny when you get him naked, he just like feels his body.
He
He's
runs
like,
his hands all over his body.
And he
like,
just kind of shakes, and he's just like so into it.
He's so excited.
And then
so we were chatting.
We just had a chat, and then bam, he's just on his back.
He's like
and then
slipped and fallen on his
Yeah.
back and hit his head.
And there's that quiet moment that every parent knows. We're like, is he gonna cry?
Yeah.
Is he gonna cry? And then he starts, and I go and pick him up, and he's soaking wet. And
we're like, why is he
why
wet?
is he wet? I was like, oh, this is pee. He peed and slipped on his own pee. And
I mean, and I feel bad for laughing because it is not his fault. It's our fault for letting him run around without his diaper on and not thinking like maybe we should take him to the potty to see if he has to pee first, or
man.
Get him in the bath before he pees and slips in it. And Forrest didn't. He was so sad. I think particularly because he didn't understand what happened. Like. It was like, normally I can walk around on the ground just fine. And all of a sudden, it was way harder to walk. And I was on the ground with a bump on my head. And the world is way different than I thought it was.
Yeah.
So he was quite upset. But
and then like,
it's just
it's
like
not
a huge puddle of pee.
He's
He
so
just
covered in
naked slips on it.
Oh, man. It's... Yeah, and then like I grabbed him and I realized like, oh, he's covered in pee. And then I don't give him that hug. I just put him in water, and that must be like, what? And then he was so upset.
Why aren't you hugging me?
And then I was like, I can wash my clothes. And I just like gave him a big snuggle, and yeah, he was upset up until I tried a new thing when we laid him down to change him, and he's on his back, and I just go like this, just like really slow, because when we kind of tickle him, it's been like. Always
aggressive.
Just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna tickle you, boy.
I'm gonna eat you up.
And he loves it, but I tried to just be like, oh, just like
and
on
you're like,
different parts of his body.
I'm gonna eat you up.
And then he loved it so much.
So cute. Dynamics,
Yeah. Oh, those are my favorite moments. Is when you just like you get into these silly zones with him, and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna tickle you, and he's like,
he's so fun to play with now.
Yeah,
he really is. Like he has gotten to this age that he understands so many things, and you can just play so hard with him.
Man, coming home is the best now. When he knows I'm coming home, and he's just like, yeah, and I grab him, we just dance and jump around the house. It's like, it's those moments. Have I told this story yet? I don't know if I have.
Tell it.
When we were really mad at Forrest in the middle of the night when he woke us up.
Oh, yeah.
We were just like, have we told this
I don't think so.
Okay. Oh, great. Great parenting story. It sums up so much of what parenting is like. I feel like you're up. It's 2 a.m. I'd went to bed late already. I was so upset that he's awake and really awake. He's not just like bounce you back to sleep awake. He's like, let's play. We're playtime. And
you're like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my gosh, I have to get up early. I have a big day tomorrow, and I stupidly stayed awake for work. And then he's sitting down, and I'm just like, you can just.
You're seething.
I'm kind of like, it's weird. Like I'm trying to be like.
You're trying to make it play.
Yeah,
like
but
you're playing,
I'm actually
right?
like.
You're getting some of this angst out at
and
him.
I'm
I
grinding my
understand too.
teeth, but I'm not. I'm just like I'm not being like aggressive toward it, and just kind of because normally I do this and he like loves it, but this time cute. I was like gnashing my teeth together, and then he just leans forward and kisses me on the lips, and I'm like, oh, what, and then it just like took me right out of the situation. I was like, this what?
That was the cutest.
It's like that I can't, and we both just like giggled, and it was like that was. That made this all worth it. It was just so out of the blue. It's like he knew. He's like, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. So many moments like that.
Oh, it's so cute. And then today we were listening to like a bunch of sing-along Disney tunes kind of thing, and at the end of this song from Frozen, I think it's the one where like the sister is courting with the boy. They're saying they're gonna get married. And he's like, can I ask you something crazy? Will you marry me? And she's like, can I say something even crazier? Yes. And then all of a sudden I hear this tiny voice go, yes. And I was like, is that the next song starting? And then I hear Forrest again go, yeah. And he actually nailed it. He said, yes. And I was like, what? Because he's not like, we've been working on the word bum for ages. He knows how to say ba. He knows how to say ma, and I'll say bum. And he goes, ba. And I say, can you say mama? And he goes, mama. And I go, bum, ba. He's just not getting it, but this word, yes, he just, I was in a different room.
He tripped out a little bit. He's like, yes, what?
He's not going to be able to do it again for months now. He's just like, I got it that one time.
Oh man, what's that? What's a situation like that for humans?
I feel like for me it was snowboarding for a while.
Oh, that's funny you say that. I was thinking the same thing. And it's something to do with sports. When you do one thing so well and you're like, oh, I want to do that again. And then it just doesn't work. Bowling. I'm
like that. I'm so hit or miss with bowling. It's like sometimes I'm nailing it, and then other times I'm just like, I don't know what I did before, but now I'm getting all gutter balls.
Gutter balls. Bowling.
Can we go bowling sometime soon? I think that was my answer.
Did you hear my throat?
Yes.
That was tea. Those tea going down my throat.
That was like the equivalent of crickets.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we can go bowling.
I don't know if I should trust that answer.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I'll go bowling with Kristen.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah.
You don't like bowling. I get it. That's not fun.
It's not
That's
that
fine.
I don't like bowling. It's right now, the idea of bowling. It sounds pretty good. I would go.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
You just changed your mind really quickly.
Yeah.
It's because you're so busy right now.
It's because Mercury is retrograde.
Mercury told me that you might change your mind when it's in retrograde.
Mercury told you that?
Personally.
Oh, man.
No, but this article that I was reading did say, if your significant other says something and then they might change their mind. They were talking more about like, we want to break up and then change your mind, but still, like, I don't want to go bowling and then I do is kind of similar.
Very similar to breaking up. It's very dramatic in that sense.
Yeah.
Friggin' Mercury. Come on, man.
Mercury is retrograde. Don't screw it up.
I think we should explain for the listeners who probably don't understand what that means in the universe, like in the physical universe. You did a pretty good job at explain it.
Oh yeah, tonight. I'm like highly educated in this.
No, but I'm just we read a few things. I watched like a Vox.
Yeah, what I seem to understand about it is that Mercury's closer to the sun than Earth is, so its orbit is shorter. So it'll pass Earth on its orbit, and then there's a point where, because Earth is actually moving faster than Mercury, it will still pass Mercury again. So Mercury has passed Earth, and now Earth is passing Mercury on this. On its orbit. And so it actually looks in the sky like Mercury is going backwards.
Wow. Yeah.
And then
crazy.
Mercury will once again pass.
And that's
Earth.
like when we say it looks in the skies, when you're taking a picture every single day and then
through a telescope
and then lining up the stars so that they're in the same position. It'll look like the planets are moving.
Yeah. And so Mercury is retrograde several times a year, apparently.
Only 3 times this year.
Right. And actually, okay, so if we're going to talk about Mercury being retrograde, it starts on the 22nd of March till April 15th is when it's done.
Oh, yeah.
So just saying, this entire, be careful with your travels and with your communications. That's going to be for another 3 weeks.
Man. I have so much traveling and communicating to do in the next 3 weeks.
Ooh, you've got so much of everything to do, basically. In the
I can't believe it. I can't even believe it. But
you know what? This is spring. Spring has sprung, and it's.
These are blossoms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
That's a good way to put it. I'm gonna wrap it.
Well, okay.
What? Mercury is retrograde. Here. Let's try again.
You can do it.
Mercury is retrograde. It's plain to see that we're sitting here drinking some hot tea.
Yeah.
Things are going crazy, and you don't want to try to do any traveling or doing any spying.
Any spine?
Spine.
Spine? Dude, wait.
This is why I don't rap.
That was really good.
This is why I don't rap.
You wrapped it. But we will, if you go to carlyandjohnny.cam, and we will post a few links. Like
I'll post the link of the article that I've been talking about, the hilarious article that gets way too specific of how you should be changing your life with Mercury in retrograde.
And also really educational video about what's actually happening when Mercury is in retrograde.
I got to watch that. Vox,
it's
you
really
said,
cool.
right?
Vox.
I like Vox.
It's Vox Observatory, that series. It's very good.
Cool.
The animation is really awesome. It inspired me today. I was looking at the animations and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
That's great. Yeah. I like Vox animations.
And then there's also a BuzzFeed one, which gets more into like, if you're into like astrology, it's like a very positive look on it, because I feel like ever since Taylor Swift or something posted something about Mercury retrograde, everybody saw it as this big negative thing, whereas like there's actually a lot of positivity that can come out of it.
Right.
It's more just like a time for you to reflect and meditate and reorganize parts of your life, because it's a very reflective time. It's making plans is what's harder.
Right. I feel like what you said, though, can be said for anything, as far as like, oh, it seems like it's a negative thing, but it actually can be a positive thing. I think almost, well, maybe not anything, but like a lot of things in life can also be a positive thing at the same time.
And if you're super skeptical about astrology, which I kind of am, in the like when you're really taking it seriously, a lot of astrology is just that. It's a chance to reflect on life, and it gives you an opportunity to really think about different aspects of life and different emotions, and but
not living your life by it meticulously.
No, like it's cool, like whether or not there's actually physical things happening to our bodies that make us a certain way during this time. It's also interesting to reflect on your communication skills. Like, have you been listening lately? Have you been like communicating properly? Have you been writing things down? Like it's maybe just see it as a time to improve those parts of your life.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Right.
It's like whether or not it's actually happening, who cares? It's just like, let's reflect on communication. Why not?
Sounds pretty self-improvement worthy to me.
Sounds very self-improvement worthy to me.
I'm fading, man. I'm just like, I'm in pain and.
Oh, what does it feel like? What is it?
You know,
Close your eyes, and just like, what's the real feeling? Just for those who have felt it, they can empathize with you, and then those who haven't felt it, they can.
I wish that I knew what was going on biologically, because what it feels like is like there's a bunch of little men inside of the lower back of my body trying to drill their way out from the inside.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, they've gotten to like the outer 7 layers of my epidermis.
Oh, geez.
And they're definitely going to get out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
They're going to get out, and then it's like they're building a house. There's like, we're roofing here. We're making shingles.
Yeah. I feel like I am like the inside of a planet or something, and they're just like drilling into the ground.
Wow. Yep. And you know what? There are tiny living things that are doing that. And
my sister had described it as it felt like there was a whole bunch of like little bugs crawling around under her skin and like chewing or something. Sounds terrible.
Probably a little bit more accurate.
No, that's not how it feels like for me. But I mean,
I feel
I think
actually just like, all right, let's clock in. Construction workers. What's a construction worker thing to say? We're so out of touch.
I'm all out of answers.
What's a
on
classic
that one.
like cartoon construction worker? I'm walking here. That's a New Yorker.
Yeah, it is a New Yorker.
I'm walking here. What's a construction worker thing?
Hey, Gary, you got a spare hat?
Spare hat.
I need hard hat.
I need a hat. Oh.
Hard hats.
Well, you should when you're on a construction site, you already have a hard hat on. Like that's right?
But he was saying, "Hey, Gary," like he just arrived.
Hey, Gary, but man, they would be like, "You didn't bring your hat? What if we didn't have one? You couldn't work."
Yeah. No, I think you're right. See, I'm out of touch.
It would be like, oh, got plans for talking about the game or something. Oh yeah, do you watch the game? Oh yeah, those refs. That's another thing I can't.
Those
talk about.
refs.
It's like I'm just like, what
You're
did?
combining two things: construction and sports.
And those are the two things I know so little about. It's just like, okay, yeah, it's what would they talk about? Oh, another thing that I can't relate to.
It's incredibly hard to improv on that particular subject.
It's like, oh yeah, Pat, throw me that hammer. It's like, you're gonna hammer things.
You don't throw hammers.
Yeah, actually, one of my cousins knocked his 2 front teeth out from throwing a hammer.
Right? You don't throw hammers.
Don't throw a hammer. You know, if there's one thing you're gonna throw, make it a ball of some kind.
Yeah, a ball of fire.
No.
I was thinking of superheroes because of Thor's hammer, and it went
Wow.
to fireballs.
Your brain just like went to fireballs.
Mm-hmm.
You keep ducking down.
It's because my back hurts.
Throughout this whole process, I'm
shingles
just like,
and Mercury Retrograde.
Yeah. Wow, we are retrograding, and we will be retrograding for the next few podcasts.
Yeah, but actually, next podcast we are still going to be around, but the following one, we are both away, so we're going to be doing a fun little feature, listening to a phone conversation from our early days of our relationship when I worked at the radio station, and you would call me.
Wow,
that'll be fun.
That's going to be bizarre.
I know. I'm going to sift through the many, many audio files that I have to find the best stuff.
Whoa. That's cool. And we have lots. So we can always, these will be our specials that we go to when we're
whenever
on vacation
we're away.
or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
If this is any good, I might listen to it and it might be so cringy. We'll see.
Maybe not, because like we don't plan anything for these. And at that time we were just mega. Although we weren't. But you know how people talk
when they're in love? You know, they're just like, they're so on.
Right.
And we're like especially on. So we'll see. I'm going to listen, and it might be really cringy.
Yeah, but it would be really cool to show, because you also recorded your breaks too, right?
Yeah.
That would be really. And was there music too? Like, do you hear like 1027 the P?
Yeah.
Kurt, that would be so funny. To show that, because you're just like, oh, just a second, I'm gonna be on air, and then you're like, I'm a radio person.
One of the recordings is actually called "Our Longest Conversation Yet."
How long?
I didn't look.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, maybe that's will be the name of the podcast. That'd be really funny.
That would be.
Oh man, I'm so curious.
These conversations that we would have was while I was at work on the air. And Johnny would call me, and I would be chatting with him when I wasn't on the air. And then I would just put him on hold so I could go and quickly say the thing that I needed to say on the air and like introduce this next song. And then I'd come back and be like, hey.
Oh, man. It'll be...
I feel like now it's so like not... I feel like it's really not okay.
Yeah.
I'd so get fired if I was still at that job.
Crazy. Oh, man.
The things you do for love,
but
you know?
It's funny because like I remember being so nervous whenever I'd call in too, because I'm like, I'm calling into a radio station. It's like those nerves I've always felt. I remember in Kelowna when I would call into a radio station, and it was funny. There was like, what's some bad advice you've gotten from your parents? Call in. And I was so nervous. I was like, I got to make something up. And it was funny because it was after they already did those segments. And I was just talking to the radio DJ, and I was just like, one time my dad told me to lift with my back. And he's like, oh, wow, that's funny. We're done with that segment. And my heart was beating so fast.
Oh, my gosh. And you're just so embarrassed.
I was so embarrassed. Well, yeah. Oh, weird. My dad didn't tell me to lift with my back. I made it up. I'm sorry, Dad.
But they didn't even know who your dad was. So
no.
You didn't like slander his name or anything.
No, yeah, I didn't. I wasn't like, John on Gates Road.
Why don't you give their address while you're at it, Johnny?
Okay,
no, don't. I don't want to have to bleep this out.
For my parents' street.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4 house.
I mean, don't go to that address. House Lane.
555-2345 is their number. Call them. Try it. Do it. Okay. Then we're going off the rails here.
Yeah.
And we've done it for over an hour, so that's good.
All right. I feel like I'm out of things to say. So,
well, let's do a final closing statements, or should we just not do that?
I could do it.
Okay, you go for it, but stand up straight.
Oh, that's so hard. Closing statement. Mercury is retrograde. Don't mess it up. Be the smarter person in the room. Mercury is retrograde. Okay.
You're talking about like saying it. Mercury is retrograde. Okay.
That's all. Just
That's
don't
good.
say in.
Okay, so I'm just gonna close my eyes and channel an ending statement. So when you're walking down the street and
What happened when you're walking down the street?
No. I got. I'll instead of a closing statement, I'll do a closing story.
Okay.
That's better. So I was in Save On Foods, a grocery store today, and I was cornered by this very large homeless man, and he was quite drunk. And he's just like, "Hey, buddy, can you buy me a chicken?" And I'm like, and he's like, "Come on, I just really want a chicken." And he's very, very tall and very large. And I was just like, "I'll buy you half of a chicken." And he's like, "Oh, okay, I'll meet you outside." And I was like, "Oh," and the whole rest of the no. And
well, that concludes another episode of Merriment.
After the rest
Any links we talked about pique your interest?
Shopping.
You'll find them featured in this episode post on our website, carlyandjohnny.com, CARLY and JOH.
But you're afraid that he's still going to be there when you get outside.
We'd love to hear your 2 cents on the
I
conversations through our social channels, Twitter, Instagram, or
And I
Facebook.
gave
We
myself
go
an out,
by
but then
Carly
I
and
was
Johnny on
after the
all
shop, I was
3
like,
of
you know
them,
what?
so you should be able to find us.
I should
And thanks
do
for
it.
listening.
Like,
We'll talk to you next week.
It's only like $6.
Yeah.
Like at the deli. And I do it, and he's gone. He just left.
What?
I know. And I was just like, maybe he thought I wasn't gonna do it. But then I was like, man. And then
You got this half a chicken.
And then I ate half a chicken. When I shouldn't have eaten half a chicken while I was driving.
so
While
full.
I was driving, it was so dangerous. I was like, it's like, what am I doing?
Was it like that night after
Yeah.
Costco, and we're
Yeah.
just like
So the
barbarians just
Yeah.
digging in?
So the moral of the story is, if you're gonna do something nice for somebody, do it right then. Don't give yourself an out. Because I felt kind of bad. I was like, he probably thought I was just
You
blowing
got
him
the out.
off.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted him to have the chicken.
He didn't want to feel like a...
Yeah, just standing
Chump.
out there waiting. I was like, I should have just been like, you know what, buddy, I'll buy you chicken right now.
Yeah.
You need it. You need it. And then I just like, so stupid, I just like ate it. I was like, oh, I'm so full, but I'm gonna eat it anyways. And then it's like this it's supposed to be for this hungry person.
Oh, man.
Anyways, that's my closing story.
And so what was the moral of that?
The moral
do
is
it
just
right
do
away.
it right away.
Mhm.
If you have, like, what's the worst? What what's the worst that's gonna happen? Okay, that's it.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
All right. Well, talk to you next week, babe.
Talk to you next week. Bye.
Love ya.
Love you too.
Well, that concludes another episode of Merriment. Any links we talk about pique your interest, you will find them featured in this episode post on our website, carlyandjohnny.com, spelled CARLY and JOHNNY.com. Pretty simple. We would love to hear your feedback on the podcast and also on any of the topics that we talked about. What do you think about Mercury in retrograde and the stinky baby feet? Tell us through our social channels, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. We go by Carly and Johnny on all 3 of them. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next week.